Hello and welcome to another episode of No Particular Reason. Hey, we're at episode 72 and it's Friday. You know what time it is? Time for No Particular Reason. I'm your host, Yanko.
What up,
And
Yanko?
next to me, there you go, it's my lovely co host, Kerri Lewis, who's smoking something up there.
I don't smoke, but I have some frankincense doing some really cool things. And shout out to
That's right.
Shelly,
That's
her
right.
really cool cauldron that I got when she passed away. So, and actually, these frankincense are from her too. So, I appreciate her. So, yeah. Anyway, how you doing? I
I
just
am
started
fabulous.
dating Tina Turner song before the show. So,
There you go. I'm still a little bit sleepy. I'm having my coffee cup next to me. Today I'm in a cold brew with some cream in, not of the usual stuff, but I'm getting there. And your song kind of energized me and wake me up. And here we are, ready to take on the world.
at least this moment in time for sure. And I'm just loving the patterns that the smoke is doing. Anyway, shout out. I'm drinking coffee, but it's with Kachava. And no, I don't get paid, but my friend got me on this mineral protein mixture. And I have to tell you, I feel better drinking one of them a day. So I want to shout them out because I think it's a really good brand. So anyway, you got anything pressing on your mind you want to
Oh
share with?
no, not really. You know how I go. If something comes to mind, I spit it up. I'm kind of like you, and most of the time, I'm just like really zen because there's nothing going on. It's just good to be in the moment sometimes.
Well, I always have something on my mind because there's always something on my mind. And if anybody's watching, please feel free to join us for this wonderful conversation that's going to
That's
unfold for
right.
no particular reason. Or leave comments, share, like, whatever, if this serves you. But a lot of my clients have this belief that I wake up happy or I always am, my life is easy peasy lemon squeezy. And so I am called to share my morning with y'all's. Okay. So for any of you
Hmm.
women out there in your 40s, you may understand this or older who have gone through this. I woke up with my whole bed covered in blood. That's so much fun, right? And the reality is, I can't help it, right? I am in a space where I have no idea when I'm going to get my period because it comes in the beginning of the month, middle of the month, end of the month, and it makes me an emotional hot mess express. So, needless to say, wake up and I have a choice. I can be pissed off, or I can be like, well, this is an inconvenience, but I'm going to go with it. But I also woke up really, really emotional, Yanko, like hot mess express, irritated. So my practice is to meditate. And I'm like, I'm not going to meditate. I don't want to meditate. So I'm like, all right, well, I need to do something. So I open up scripture. And the scripture goes to me, peace and joy are always available to you in this moment. And I'm like, oh, okay. I feel that. What do I need to do to achieve that right now? Like, what can I do? If meditation does not serve me, and it didn't because I was resisting it, and if it resists you, you shouldn't do it. Like, pick something else to do. But I need to move my body. I haven't walked for a while. I'm going to go for a walk. So I go for a walk and I put on a random what's your story from iTunes and it's Tiffany Haddish, who is a comedian, and I love her work. She's so funny. I saw her in Night School with Kevin Hart, and I'm listening to her story, and it was the exact thing that I needed to be reminded of, right? Is that first off, you need to be your biggest champion and advocate for yourself. Second of all, don't take life so seriously. She's a comedian. So she had me rolling and I'm like laughing and I'm in stitches and I'm moving my body and I immediately feel better and my energy starts shifting. And I'm like, oh, wow, I feel really, really peaceful all of a sudden. Right. And so the moral to my experience this morning is life is so unpredictable. I I cannot predict what experience I'm going to wake up to. I really cannot predict that. But what I can do is I can learn myself well enough to know that I'm not stuck in any experience and I can change it. And then what can I do in this moment to make me feel better and then do that. And so as I'm walking, and I'm going to share this, right? I feel better, even though my morning wasn't the way I had planned it or would have wanted to plan it, so to speak. And I came up with this. Wow, this came through me. Let's see if you can hear it. Doesn't describe before I hear mine. So I came up with a song and it was all about peace. And that's what I want to share with the listening audience is we can access peace even when things feel really uncomfortable. We just have to give ourselves permission to do so and then take action because so often we logically know this, but we don't take the step to achieve
That's
peace.
so beautiful. I know that we all know
Right?
and we all have the resource when we need it. And sometimes we forgot that it's a personal choice because sometimes your ego wants to be mad about something or something else. And you always have the choice. And you take the choice. Do you want to be right or you want to be in peace? Do you want your ego to feel like, oh, this is it, like I got it, or do you want to be in peace? And that's the thing. We go back and forth, and it's good that life it's unpredictable because otherwise, if it's a pattern, there will be nothing going on. You know, I've consumed something yesterday on the media, and that made me think about the same thing. They were talking about human cloning, and it was happening in somewhere in the future or whatever. And they said, "Listen, you've been okay, but nature has its toll because with cloning, everything it's a sure thing. There's no evolution. There's nothing going on. You're stuck pretty much where you are. There
Yeah.
is no varieties." And I was like, "Wow, this is kind of a good good analogy, and that kind of bring through. So the same way life it's unpredictable, and it's okay. Like I like it to be unpredictable because then anything can happen, and you can find joy in any moment.
You can, and it really is accessible to you. It's just that we have a responsibility to give ourselves permission to access it. And that ultimately, Yanko, is I think where a lot of people get hung up. They don't give themselves permission. I have clients who say, well, I can't do that. And I tell them, you're absolutely right, because you just told your brain you
Yeah,
can't do that. So you 100% can't. But what if you change the story? What if you don't believe me? You and I are big proponents of don't listen to anything we say, just apply it, practice it, and see how it
right.
serves you. But what if you suspend what you believe you can and cannot do and say, I'm open to the possibility of that very phrase, right? Gives your brain, gives your life, gives the universe, whatever you're tapped and believed into, permission
Right.
to give you a new experience. But so often people close themselves off from that just because of how they talk and they're not even aware of it.
Yeah, yeah. The self talk, it's also a big thing with a lot of people. um It still happens from time to time to me, like you were saying. Um, you're not always in the best mood or anything that's happening in life. So the same way, I'm not always quiet. The mind is not always quiet. Sometimes things go out, and I like to choose to be good to myself instead of like critical and be hard on myself. Not in a bad way, but you know what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah. Well, something you said before we were on camera that I really liked, and this is a beautiful lesson. So you are experimenting with something that some people believe helps you get deeper in meditation and stuff.
Mm,
And you had an experience. And so I asked you afterwards, well, will you use it again? And you said yes, because you want to collect data to make an informed choice. And I think that is our life. We're meant to collect data. We're meant to have these moments where I still can be caught in speaking poorly to myself and then collect the data and be like, oh, what's that do to my body? How am I experiencing life? What's this feel like? Oh, I'm going to go back to being kind to myself. And so it really is always about um, witnessing what it is we're experiencing, right? Not being checked out, not just like operating from like this habit and
right.
set of behaviors, but then also collecting the data to make a new and more informed choice. And that's just really what I believe our human experience is in part for. So that way we can discover
Right.
what feels really joyful, what feels really good, and lean more into that rather than what no longer serves us or never served us that we just bought into without really knowing.
Yeah, you don't know because until, I would say I probably do that often where I want to be able to have um, experiences that are, close. I mean, you can't have the same experience every time, even if you're trying to do some kind of test or whatever. The factors don't always allow to have exactly identical experience. But I'm not a science. I mean, I'm just trying to see what feels good for the body and what feels good to the energy body and what feels good to the mind. Am I getting like, am I more clear minded, am I more fogged out, or how is this whole thing works out? And
I feel like we
um
are scientists, so that's where I 100% believe every single person, if you come from curiosity, is a scientist. Because we're constantly observing and then applying and adjusting, and figuring out what works and what doesn't work. Just for you and me, it's for our own individual experience rather
right.
than to come up with a specific outcome for, I don't know, a disease or whatever have you.
Well, that's why we keep encouraging our viewers and listeners to try different things, to figure it
Mhm.
out, not because we say so. And I'm kind of the same way. Like I can read books about, people that um and that's the other thing. I was gonna say, usually people that are enlightened, they don't talk like I'm enlightened because there's no I left, and most people make books about him and tell their stories. But when you read their stories, you kind of make an assumption, and we like to compare ourselves to other people a lot of
100%
situations and
all
things.
the time.
So if everything happens, and this is where the duality of thing comes in, like good, bad, and you see something and you put yourself in it in that same situation and you say, how would I do it in this situation? Would that be a good choice? Or maybe I'll make the better choice, or maybe I'll do this instead and everything. And it all comes down to the experience. To me, like, what do you do in certain situation, how do you handle it? And as peace, you can just be in peace as the more you do some kind of practice and the more you go through life, then and you have the experience and you have everything to support you. You have the resources because you've been in situations like that before. So if something happens, you just kind of go like, "Meh, I've done this. I've done better than this, or whatever." So it's not a big deal, and you learn how to handle it or how to go through that situation or that experience. But then again, um, we're here, at least what I think, is to have the experience and fully be immersed in the experience, not to try to escape it and skip through or get to the next experience, or check out, or maybe um, even not be in the body when the experience is happening, because it could be like really traumatic experience, and you know we can be that observer that it's there, not the ego part, and just watching it unfold and not really allowing everything to go when the experience is happening, as far as emotions and feelings and energies and everything else go. So it's I don't know, it's different. It's different for everyone, I think.
Yeah, true. I mean, I don't know. For me, I share this with everybody all the time. I truly believe our power is in joy and in love. So even in it, again, even in the experience I shared when we started the show, I examined my experience and what was going to be the thing that got me back to peace, joy, and love as quickly as possible. And
Mm,
going back to like this, we're scientists of our own life metaphor. I knew meditation was not going to do it for me. I just knew I that was not the thing. And so often, and I see this in self-care all the time, people find things at work, right? And then they get into this very rigid, um, like disciplined thing of
mm.
how they need to unfold. And so they actually close themselves off from other things that can serve them because they found the one thing. Whereas, and this is where you and I are constantly encouraging people to try all different things all the time, because what is going to work for me most mornings, which is to sit in meditation and being reflective, didn't work for me today. And because I am not tied to what it needs to look like, how it needs to feel, I'm more um tied to the outcome. What is going to bring me back to peace? What is going to bring me back to joy? How am I going to shift this energy? I'm able to nurture myself in a really compassionate and impactful way rather than staying stuck in these disciplines. And that's why I always encourage people, just stay curious with yourself. Don't, I have this amazing client who has made tremendous strides in their life, but they moved through a lot of discomfort and growth, and as a result, how we work together has shifted and changed. And I keep hearing this language of judgment. Oh, I need to. I'm like, no, where you're at is exactly where you're meant to be. Can you allow yourself to just be in this place of discomfort because you've changed so many things, and you have to experience that to know what your next thing that's going to feel good for you is. And so it's really important to be open-minded and curious about yourself all the time, instead of really rigid and getting locked into this belief that things have to look, feel, be a certain way. Because if we are limitless and we're co-creating with limitless energy, then there are limitless possibilities as to what is going to bring you back to self-love, peace, joy, and how you need to nurture yourself in any given moment.
I mean, I have a different, well, not like really different view, but my view on that, it's a little bit different than yours, because we have a certain identity that we believe to be, and then and we have an idea of how we're supposed to be, because we don't like how we are, or the fake identity that we have, or I'll call it fake because it's not you. You created it, or somebody told you that this is you and you assumed it, but then based on other evidence and other things you decided to be something else. So in my mind, when you playing this kind of game, when you're moving from one to the other, really nothing happens. The struggle, it's there, because you're never going to be satisfied with the new identity that you find yourself to be. There's always going to be something that you're going to want to change, and you're going to be hopping from the one, maybe the greatest author or the greatest singer, to something else, or from being, you know, not okay mom to being okay mom, but then, being different kind of mom, because those ideas keep coming in and you keep changing that through life. And you're right with taking chances in finding your zen or your bliss. But to me, finding the root cause and addressing it, that'll be ideal to finding who you really are, and finding about yourself, if you really like what you are, your true self, accepting who you are, not the role you play, or whatever else you think to be. That'll probably get you more um, to where you're supposed to be, I guess.
But
Does that
where we
make
supposed
sense?
to be? Like, I get what you're saying, and I do understand. But even you, like 5 minutes ago, were talking about the fact that, yeah, we can sit in bliss, right? In this
Right.
transcendent, energetic space. But that's not the human experience. I mean, that isn't from what I mean, and I don't know because I have not been there, so I keep it real, but like I'm having the human experience. And so again, if I know my power lies in joy and bliss or peace, then that's what I'm going, that's the experiences. And I do agree. Look, we all have these deep rooted beliefs, these habits, these behaviors that I encourage people to be open to identifying so that they can release, so that they can choose something that feels more supportive and true for them. 100%. But I also recognize that I have an opportunity in any given moment to either suffer or sit in joy and love. And as I've established with many, many shows and many, many conversations with you and many others, I opt for joy because I'm worthy of it. If I'm limitless and I know it's accessible to me, then I'm chasing that. I'm not even chasing it. I'm finding what I need to do in this moment to get back to that in the human experience, not just sitting in a meditative
Right.
state, blissed
Right.
out. Do you
Right.
know what I mean?
So it's a bit different when you go on that experience. When you take that away, you're kind of taking the raw away, and so there is no byproduct of suffering or anything else. You're just enjoy, because the role you play, if it doesn't turn out the way you expect it to turn out, you're not gonna be in pain. You're not gonna be in suffering, because that didn't exist in the first place, because you're just being in the moment without the role. So there's just bliss. There's no hey, here is Yanko going down the street and it's having a good time or not having a good time. Is just there is going down the street, and there is enjoying of weather, whatever else it's happening. So
Yeah, but do you exist in that space all the time?
no, you don't, because that's the
Yeah.
mind
But some
that
people can.
that's yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. No.
well, David R. Hawkins, he wrote a book about his complete experience with shedding the ego once and for all. And you're right, like everything unfolded before it unfolded. And so, I mean, until I get to that space, um, for me, I'm going to choose joy, like
I just wanted to give our audience a different view,
perspective.
where
I get it.
they don't have to be just, in that role of like moving from one role to another role, from like suffering to joy, suffering to joy, suffering to joy, where you can decide to go above the role. And if there's no role to play. There's no outcome of the role. There's no suffering. Either way, you're just being, and being is just being pure bliss, being joyful because you are, you exist. There is no need to claim
Yeah.
any kind of role or anything. And this is also what I'm starting to believe more and more, that um, some people try to address the ego instead of addressing the problem, which is the ego. And the ego is not like a big problem. You're not gonna go in lose your mind and use whatever experiences, because they're still gonna be in you, or the you think you are, but you're not gonna have that inner critic. Either way, is just going to be in the very moment. You're not going to be predicting the future or planning of what you're going to do 15 minutes from now or whatnot. You're just going to be. And I think that's a better goal, at least for me.
Yeah, I actually interesting. I'm gonna pull this up because I think it it is so through, like, it's really interesting. Um, the song that came through me while I was walking was "A healed mind doesn't describe beforehand. A healed mind steps all through all open doors that makes themselves clear to them. A healed mind is open to all possible. Mind knows it co-creates with divinity. So plan a way to get through the awful quicksand. Remember, a healed mind will carry you through when you surrender to the truth. Um, and of course, because I sang it, it's not saying the words correctly, but essentially it's saying the exact same thing that you said. Then that did come through me. I think our planning is the actual thing that causes us suffering. Like, again, going back to
Yep. Yep.
this idea that I had to wake up in a bed and way, and because you know what I mean, it caused me to do things differently. All of that is what prevents us from the bliss that we can experience in any given moment. That I do understand. But again, for our listening audience, it's a continuous practice. It really, I
It
mean, it
is.
is
Yeah.
a
Because
constant
things come
practice.
out. You have those pathways that you created in the mind. And the
Yep.
mind, to me, it's a tool, it's a servant. It's supposed to help you. It's not supposed to be your boss. It's not supposed to be who you think you are. You're not the mind. You're not supposed to just take whatever comes to mind as true and just go with that. um, there is knowing that's behind or above the mind, that allows you to see how the mind operates and then use it as an instrument instead of going for it. And I'll give you an example. You might be walking down the street, and good example I'll give you. Yesterday I was walking, and I had this thought, or the mind had a thought about French fries, like how great it's going to be to have French fries. And then at the same time, I'm passing through this, like a street with stores, and there's this Mexican restaurant. And then the mind goes, "Oh, look, they might have fries inside."
Did you get your French fries?
No, I was like, all right, this is cool. Thanks for enlightening me and letting me know that you want fries and there's French fries in the store next to and everything. But I'm just gonna walk.
That is so funny. Now you made me want French fries,
Oh,
Yanko.
wow.
Listen, I'm an Irish girl, okay? Potatoes, run very deep in my heritage of yummy foods to
I
eat.
know. I'm just giving that as an example. Like you don't have to go.
I
You don't
know,
have to
and
go with
now
whatever
you got
comes to mind. You have the freedom to choose. You don't have to go with the patterns or whatever the mind tells you. And this is what we're actually talking about. To recognize when the patterns come out and you have repeating patterns, you're hard on yourself or whatever. You recognize those and you go like, nope, ain't happening today. You got the freedom to choose.
yep.
So yeah,
Yeah, and just making a different choice. Again, it comes back to giving yourself permission.
well, yeah, and fries.
Give permission to go get French fries. I'm just saying.
Oh, sure, sure. I don't know. But again, if you're just being in the moment, there's no planning. There's no. You're just um, you're seeing how everything unfolds, and you enjoy it because it happens for your enjoyment. Yeah. Unless something comes up and you say, "This is not good. I don't like this at all." And who is that doesn't like it?
Well, okay, so what happens when you have that experience?
It just goes away though, because like if you try to find where that's coming from, there is no you look for the source of like the I. Where's this coming from? Is there a place like at the beginning? The I was feeling like a lot of people will say I'm here when they say, well, where you are in the body, and they go like, well, I know where I am. Well, where's the I? Well, I am right here. And they're like critical thinking, or people that are doing a lot of things with the mind, they think the I it's here. And the people that are more in the heart region and they feel more and whatever, they go like, oh, I feel like I'm right here in the body. But you can also be here in the body. You can be here in the body. You can be anywhere in the body, or you can be nowhere in the body. And the body is just this. So, does that answer your question?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because I think about meditation. I bring people through a lot where I have them bringing an awareness to different parts of their body to recognize what they're experiencing in those bodies. Because I know so many people who are so disconnected from
Yeah,
their
yeah,
bodies. Like they have no
yeah,
awareness as to where they carry
yeah.
tension, where energy might be trapped, and
Emotions.
you can learn that by
Yeah,
just bringing your awareness to those different body
yeah,
parts and just bringing awareness,
yeah.
and then giving either one of two things. I always encourage people, don't try to change it, just be aware of it and it will transmute on its own.
Hmm.
Or for some people who really need with like where they're at in their own consciousness, they start to give themselves permission, or they start to tell themselves they're safe. Because I find more, I mean, you and I both know the ego is notorious for exacting fear within people, right? We
Yeah,
create this fear around everything and
right.
anything.
Self
And
preservation.
so it's,
Yeah,
yeah, and it's being able to um take care of yourself and let
yeah,
yourself know that you're safe. And when you do that, again, going back to permission, you start to give those areas of your body the ability to release some of that trapped tension or stress or energy.
right. Yeah. Now, it starts with recognizing, but to recognize that you have that, you gotta, well, you don't have to,
Have an
but
experience.
sometimes in life, there is an experience, and everyone's threshold is different. Some people
Yep.
get down a little bit and come right back like really fast, but some people have to hit really rock button. They have to like really something dramatic has to happen in life, something to really kick them to be like, okay, this isn't cool or whatever, and I have to change or do something else. So everyone is different. And I think this is why we're here to have all those experiences so that we can decide what we want to do is, continue on that direction or the other direction or either direction we go, we're getting closer to knowing who we are, I think.
I mean, I guess we'll find out eventually.
Right?
But, I wanna pivot a little bit because, whether it's awareness in the body or just aware that you feel stuck in a certain area. Um, I was in a class the other day.
Mhm.
This class by this woman, man, and I've been working out for 14, 15 years now. This no, 16 years. This lady whooped my butt. And every time I go to her class, she whoops my butt. But anyway, I'm looking around and there's a guy to the left of me. And he's an older gentleman, great energy. He's doing some crazy stuff. Like we were on a busu and a ball, and it was like definitely about balance and stuff. So after the class, I see him and I'm like, hey, you have a great day. And he's like, yeah, I'm 85 years old. And this dude was in the class that I just went through that beat my butt. And so I'm like, okay, well, I have a couple shows. Enlighten me so I can share with people. I know several people in their 80s who are just as spry as you. What is the key to, being? And he said motion. And the reason I bring that up to what we were just talking about within being aware of our body and or our thoughts that feel stuck, energy needs to move.
Mhm.
You are not going to feel differently, release anything that doesn't serve you, whether it's a tightness in your body or a thought process in your mind, if you're sitting stagnant and trying to problem solve. And so every single individual, and I talk to many, many people in their late 80s, 90s who are more youthful than some 22-year-olds that I know, physically, emotionally, and mentally, right? And it's because they move their body. And so even if all of what Yanko and I are talking about feels really obscure or unobtainable or feels too hard to like even contemplate achieving, move your body, move it, get up, do jumping jacks, go for a 5-minute walk. I promise you that experience alone will bring vitality and movement in through your body, and you'll have a new experience, and one that is gives you the ability to be more creative, to feel looser, less rigid, and then you gain insight through that.
I love that you brought this up. And I have another thought with that even if you don't say you're not a workout person, you can still do walks or you can sign up for dance classes or enjoy dancing. That'll get the body to move. You move with the music, the sound. It's a joyful experience. There's no rush to go anywhere and to do anything or to complete the dance. You're just in the moment. It keeps you there. So that's another good alternative for nature walks. There is a yeah, yeah,
Biking.
yeah.
Me and my twin sister hit the water and go kayaking. Like again, everything is
Yeah.
limitless. You don't have to just go for walks, but you're we are energy, and energy needs movement. We need
Mhm.
to move,
Mhm.
and in doing so we literally change our experience just by me adjusting my hat. I'm changing the experience. Like we can change our experience through movement.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but it'll also allow you to recognize what else that's in the body is tension, like you were talking about earlier. Emotions, other things. Sometimes we numb ourselves to a point where we don't forget, or we forget how to feel an emotion or how to connect with another being, because we've been so afraid to be heard that we're closing our connection with everybody else around, to protect ourselves from not being hurt, and therefore feel numb and no emotion at all. And and
Yeah.
you find yourself hard to relate to other people because you're just closed up. There might be sharing a good story with you, and you just go like, yeah, that ain't happening to me. you know so
I also think that that's why I shared this story about my morning with people, because I do talk to clients who they can't even relate to waking up and maybe not having, having things go the way they planned, and then within 15 minutes feeling joy and peace, and you know what I mean? And so
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
true.
Everyone has
And
that kind
but
of experiences. Everyone has an experience when they don't feel the way they want to be and they want to feel a different way. I'll give you one of those
yep,
experiences of myself. When I was in Bulgaria, I didn't plan a trip. I wanted to go up in the mountain to hike, and I was planning to take the lift up to half the road and then to the actual peak to walk up there. And it turned out when I arrived that those days they weren't working because they were doing maintenance on the lift, on Mondays or Tuesdays. And I figure, if I go on a Monday or Tuesday, everyone it's going to be at work and there's not going to be a huge line, and I'm going to be able to skip through the lines and everything else faster. So when I found myself at that situation, I kind of look myself up and look at the situation, and I said to myself, well, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. And I start walking. So, lift or no lift, I was there to do the walk, and I enjoy nature, and that didn't change my experience. And actually, I think I had a better experience from what I was, hoping to get, because along the way I connected with other hikers, people that were, walking, and get to meet them and all that stuff. So you don't know, like, everyone has that kind of situations in life where you
yeah.
have the choice. I could have chosen and said, well, screw it, I'm gonna get back in my car and drive home and come back another day. But I was like, nope, this is happening.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess,
Yeah,
like, that's the thing is, um and it really does all come back. I mean, at the end of the day, it comes back to like this attachment, like this idea that things need to
yeah,
feel a certain
yeah,
way.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
was sharing this with my sister last weekend, that, I work to not have an attachment to my children. Like this idea that our relationship needs to look a certain way, that I need to parent a certain way, that they need to perform or produce or achieve. Because when I don't have an expectation or this, I like perceived outcome, the connection that we have is so beautiful, and it's just, it's like oneness. It's one, I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there's no
yeah,
separation
yeah,
almost. But the minute I step into this idea
yeah.
that I'm older than you, I know more,
Yeah,
or
you
I'm
you
your mother
get
and I need
yeah, you get
respect.
you get in the role of, subject object, and in the separation goes and everything happens. Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. Instead of trying to change how the role it's played, why not just give up the role? Just drop it and just be. There's no need to do any kind of roles. Um, I had an experience that I shared with my son like that once, where were both in the moment, and it was amazing. Um, we're in we're in this resort, and they had a stage where usually musicians come out and do their thing. Um, but that night they had music, and all the kids were up in the stage, doing silly moves, trying to dance and go around. And he wanted to go, and I let him go up on the stage. So he was doing his thing, doing silly moves like he's dancing. He doesn't know how to dance or anything, and there was no expectation of like how he's supposed to dance or not dance. So I was really in the moment, and I was just watching the whole thing unfold. Is like a masterpiece that was just happening. And when that was happening, he had the same thing. So there was just this moment where we both were in joy, and it was just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to shout out this Elena. I love you so much, girlfriend. We need to have a conversation or a video chat soon. It's been way too long. But yeah,
I didn't even see that,
that's all
and I didn't even see that in the chat. Yeah, we
yeah.
yeah, wow. It's good.
Well, if I don't know that you know how, like, we would love for you to join our show anytime you are inspired to join, because
That's
you
right.
are a plethora of love, and that's what we're all about at the end of the day. I think, for me anyway, everything I do is with the lens of service through love, and it's quite beautiful for the most part. Sometimes it feels hard, but for the most part, I can't say I dislike my journey.
Sure, you got to keep it.
You do.
Yes. uh, yeah, we caught up with Atlanta last week, and I'm glad she showed up because you always say, "Hey, tell her I say hi," and I do, and then I
I'll
forget.
say, Elaine is on my
Uh,
heart.
uh,
I'm singing to her. Listen, I mean, I can serenade anybody. What's so funny? Because Gail Craft reached out to me the other day. She's like, when we going on a road trip to go visit with Yanko and Elena, when I go, just know I'm coming to see you and giving you a big hug.
That's right. I mean, she's kind of a drive from where we are in the city, but I'm sure we'll probably work something out.
Well, I mean, not for nothing, but I would be driving from Connecticut, so I don't think that Elena's place is gonna be that big of an issue. I'm just
Okay,
saying. I am just saying. And speaking of, I still have the skull you sent me, and it sits right above my head every time I go to sleep, or I'm doing whatever I'm doing on that side of the bed, because that's my side of the bed. Because I don't know, it is. So I don't know. I just, I'm chilling. I'm so glad that I got to see this beautiful Elena today. And isn't it crazy how miracles just unfold the way that they do? Girl, I'll come stay with you. Say less. Just know I'm a party. Me and Nana, we are just a ball of energy usually. People are like, dang. But we do. It's interesting. I think, you know, we get invited places a lot, and it's just because we have fun and we see people and we don't judge them, and we just want to have the experience with them, and it's really quite awesome.
mm, yeah. You're in the flow. Whatever happens, happens, and you enjoy the moment. Yeah.
Sometimes you know what, can I tell you something? I'm gonna keep it real with the listening audience. Yesterday I caught myself in ego at the end of our show, and I'll tell you, I had this beautiful soul. Oh, Steve, you should join this show. But I was watching the interaction between Steve and Nana, and I made up this story, and I'm like, like I separated myself from Nana, and I'm like, damn, that's a really strong narrative in my mind going on right now. And to Yanko's point earlier today in this conversation, he said, get to the root cause. And I did. And I'm like, wow, like, and it is this idea that we're separate. And as soon as I was able to get there, I was immediately at peace and super grateful for the experience again. But yeah, there was a moment where I was like, wow, I'm definitely not in flow. I'm in judgment. And where's this judgment stemming from? It was coming from fear,
Mhm.
because I always say, and I really believe it comes from fear. And what story, belief, habit, pattern do I need to recognize and release so that I can release myself of that fear so I'm back in flow?
Are you asking me
Up
or?
did I lose? No. I don't need your that was what I did. That was my
Mm.
practice.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's good when that the seer, the one, not the mind, recognizes patterns of the mind and things that are happening, because that really gives you the opportunity to change, to see and recognize when things happen like that, and then that really opens the door for the change and not only to change but to just to see how things are. And so yeah, I mean, the more you do it, the more obvious and obvious becomes. And again, when situations arise, you can decide how you want to do it, but not allowing the mind to do it for you. That's the key, because then you're just running an autopilot, I think.
Which I believe a lot of people do. And I will share with the listening audience, um Letting Go, a book. It's called Letting Go: Pathway to Surrender. Now, I've read Dr. David R. Hawkins' work extensively, but that book in particular, it can be a little bit dense for some people. It's not like a leisurely read, but it can be really helpful in giving you the tool and practical, tangible strategies to apply exactly what Yanko was just saying about being aware and then releasing it, like doing the work so you can let it go.
And I talked about it last time in the one episode that releasing doesn't look like you actually releasing something that drops from you. When you recognize it, it just goes away on its own. So there's no need for you to do anything particular or not to do anything. You recognize it, and there is like aha moment. And when you recognize it, there's no need to do anything with it anymore because you caught it, you recognize it, and it's gone. So that's usually how it works. But everyone has a different type of mindset and different consciousness, in a way, like not a different from the whole consciousness, but in a way of like how limited it is to their own reality or how they perceive it. So, what might work for one might not work for another one because some people are more logical, some people are more kinesthetic. Find your thing, whatever makes sense to you. And the reason I'm
Yep.
saying that, it's because I meet a lot of people that say, well, somebody recommended this book for me and I started reading it and none of it makes sense. And it's
Yep.
not for you. It doesn't make sense to you. So that's the wrong thing to do. Don't force yourself to read something that doesn't make sense to you. Once you
I
find
love that.
once you find what makes sense to you, um, and you go back, and because I met people that are like that too, that say, well, at the beginning I was forcing myself and none of it made sense. And I was reading all these different books and everything, but I found the one that clicked. And after I read that one, then I found another one that clicked and another one. And then, a couple years back, I went back to revisit the ones that didn't make sense. And now, oh my God, all of a sudden everything makes sense because now different mindset, different consciousness. So there is no resistance or internal resistance. So,
Oh yeah, I had Eckhart Tolle's book on my shelf for years before, and I read it twice. The first time it was like mumbo jumbo
So you
garbage,
can.
and then the time I was like, oh, I still think it's dry. No diss, your work is beautiful, but it
Sure.
like I'm a theatrical person. I'm a spunky girl. That's why I like thought leaders who are charismatic. I always wonder what it would be like to have connected with, I don't know, like Gandhi or Christ or Buddha and stuff. Because, I mean, I do believe that when you really are in flow, you're funny. Like, you gotta be funny. Like, there's humor in everything.
Of course.
You know,
Yeah. You take any situation and you turn it into a fun thing.
yeah, all the time. And interestingly enough, I woke up with red, and guess what I'm wearing right now? You gotta make it like you just gotta appreciate the journey, right? But anyway, as we wrap up our episode 71 of For No Particular Reason, do you have anything you want to share for no particular reason? 72, which is so funny because I put 71, but
Well, it's
that's
kind of the
whatever.
same way. We lost track, people, because we're doing it for no particular reason. We just show up and we talk about whatever we're inspired to talk about, share our experiences. And we love when you guys join us, like Ilana did today, and, share your experiences, ask questions, do interact. We love to interact with you guys, just and don't take a word for it or anything. But yeah, I don't have anything special, no wisdom to pass on.
No, let's
Just
see.
be. When you are in the moment, you enjoy the moment, and everything happens, and you allow yourself to do whatever you want in that moment, and then that's where the fun comes out because you're not in judgment of yourself. You don't care how you're gonna sound or how things are gonna come out. They're just gonna come out the way they're supposed to come out, and you're gonna have fun. So yeah, that's all I have.
I got I'm gonna go
Yeah,
eat. Guess what I
there,
got?
there you go.
Hungry. You know what? I quit cheese for like 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And you know what I'm gonna eat right now? I'm gonna eat a big hunk of cheddar cheese because
Mm,
I can and
mm,
I want to.
yeah, we can do an episode on that and talk about food and different things because I like that you're experimenting with different foods now. And I was a part of life when I experimented with different foods. Like I was sharing the experience that I was having earlier because I think that'll be maybe interesting topic. Maybe we can talk about that if the time is right sometime. So
We'll
yeah.
see. Who knows? Until next time. Eat one for you. I got you. I got you. I will say I cut out wheat completely. At the same time I cut out cheese, I'm not picking wheat back up, and my inflammation has been so much better. Ugh. So that's just for me.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Peace and chicken grease, guys. We'll check you next
Bye.
week.